than a bitch.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Cousin Cecil Show. I'm your host, Mike Fowler, aka Cousin Cecil, and happy E3 week. And then I am more glad to find out I was told I have a guest on the show without actually an invite. He kind of invited himself. Welcome back to the show, Chaufie. How you doing to this?
I'm good, man. Yeah, I mean, I figured, like, fuck it. I've already been to the crib once. Now I just opened the door, threw my feet up on the couch, and was like, "Hey, we're going to talk E3." So yeah, you were blindsided, but I was just like, were you going to say no?
No, yeah, exactly. I was just looking at a notification on my phone, and it says, "I think I'm going to be on the Cousin Cecil show this Sunday." I'm like, "Oh, you are?" Like,
oh, yeah, no one told me.
Cool. But yeah, obviously, I think it's also great to have you on here just because of also having another mind on the E3. Well, 2/3 of E3. You still got Nintendo coming down in Tuesday and shit, but
yeah.
But no, it's obviously glad to have another perspective on this, especially because it is a very informative, very big, a lot of game announcements, because especially how the Cousin Cecil show does it, we like to just break down every game that goes through it. We might not do it this time because there's been so much, and also a lot of them repeat themselves.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was really looking forward to this E3. Of course, about the games. Yeah, that's what E3 is about. But really, how were they going to pull it off? Like, going from last year into now, like, you know, E3 being like a fucking disaster, like it was canceled last year, like everyone trying to figure out how, like Geoff Keighley, which probably one of the first things we'll jump into is Geoff Keighley stuff, but like how, like he jumped into his, like, was it Summer fucking Games or whatever he calls it? Like,
yeah. Summer Game Fest.
Summer Game Fest. How are these big companies going to pivot? Because they're big ships and it's going to take a year for them to pivot. You know, it's not like they're not like you and I. We want to change our format. We'll just do it tomorrow. Like, we got no costs. We just change. For them, it's a lot of product. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of design. Everything's long term. And it's not like these games get fucking announced in a day. They've probably been working on these trailers for months or to a year, you know? So that was the thing where I was like, how are they going to pull this off? And so, being that I don't have my sort of gaming centric show anymore, I was like, I do want to talk to someone that I feel like has good knowledge, really pays attention, and isn't about hot takes. I'm
not a grub fucker.
Yes, exactly. Now, some people get really fucking hung up on shit where it's just like, this week they're like, my console's the best, the next week they're like, why can't we all get along like fucking Rodney King? And it's like, wait a minute, like, what are you talking about? Like, last week you were just talking about how Game Pass was like, everyone can eat Game Pass's dick, you know? But
yeah.
And so we'll get into that because you're the host, take the lead.
No, I was also going to say, because obviously we're going to do our two segments before we get into the big fish that is E3. But of course, we'll start off with Chaufie. What you been playing?
So, new season of Fortnite popped off. You and I got a couple matches in. These last couple weeks, I really haven't been gaming much because it's been the end of like my work year. And so it's like closing down a school, plus, I don't know, I'm a fucking idiot and like volunteered to work summer school. So it's like I'm closing down my school and opening like a mini school really fast where I have kids coming from all kinds of different sites. So it's just been like exhaustion. But
I do know the answer for you. I was going to ask you because you will at least be able to give some insight for the show of, I know you played Resident Evil 8, of course. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
7 or 8? What's this fucking
Village?
Name? Oh, yeah. I did, yeah. That's right. I did play 8. I liked it, man. It was really, really good. I felt like it was, if you're a Resident Evil, like, purist, like you've been playing it from way back, I can see where people are like, I don't like this one. The style, like going back to the last, that was it Biohazard? Is that the last one?
Yes.
They're a sidestep. The mechanics are like at its core, it's Resident Evil, but it's like its play style is a little bit different. It's more accessible, you know. This one, Village felt a little more on the, I would consider it like on the Uncharted sort of Tomb Raider level. A lot more climbing, a lot more hunting, a lot more searching. There is weird shit that happens in it, and it is spooky, but it's for me, it's a must play. And not insanely challenging either. I would compare it more to like a, on the spooky factor, I would put it on the level of like it felt more like a Devil May Cry. Now, not the zany, like, but where it's a little more on the like demonic sense. It's like monsters and shit like that, where it's like, and it's a lot faster. Whereas opposed to like old Resident Evil was really like, about the jump scare.
Yeah.
Or about like having not enough weapons or ammo to fight. This, I fucking never ran out of ammo. Like, I always had to do the crafting, but it wasn't a thing. But this is good, man. I recommend it.
I was curious because I also know, for all the idea of like how you just nailed it on the head. It seems like Biohazard and Village are going into the more puzzle part of the Resident Evil thing, which was in, of course, all of them. Like, before they used to make you worry about save points with like reels of ink and all that shit. So, but this one obviously takes it more into the puzzling because I'm kind of interested in it because I didn't know, is the idea of like you said, it's like a Tomb Raider or Uncharted where it's like, all right, you have to worry about this castle, break it all down and get all the shit you need. But then you go to a different spot of another quote unquote castle, like a dungeon. And that seems very interesting. That baby shit in the hallway, that I don't like that shit.
Oh, that was weird. And especially, you play with like headphones on, it was freaky. I was like, oh yeah, this is wildly uncomfortable. But yeah, what you're saying is definitely right. Like, old Resident Evil had you backtracking a ton, where then it was just, you get shortcuts along the way. This one really is like levels, or portions of a map where it's like, okay, you cleared the castle, well, done. Okay, now you're gonna go to a fucking swampy area and wrap it up. There's a main hub that everything's connected to, but for the most part, like, once you wipe out an area, you've like wiped out an area. But it's fun. Like I said, it's very accessible. You know what it feels like? I was just thinking right now, it's like, and this is not a knock to the game. Like I said, I had a great time. I really, really, I had a ton of fun with it. But it's Resident Evil for dummies. Like, it's not hard at all. And it's got the right amount of, like, if you're a busy person, like you got shit to do, like, I just need to be able to play a few, maybe a half an hour is what you got to play. You can still get in some good playtime. And it doesn't ask too much. It's not a ton of fucking load screens and shit like that. So, but I think if you can catch it on a good deal, maybe $45, that's a good sweet spot for it.
It is like that right now. I saw a GameStop. I'm like, ooh.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, do it, man.
Also, what is your, before we're going to talk about the elephant in the room of what I've been playing. I beat Ratchet and Clank already and platinumed it.
But, the fuck? Are you for real?
Yeah. It wasn't, yeah, we'll get into that. But what's your thoughts on this season 7's Fortnite?
I actually can't wait to get back to it. And we'll get into Ratchet in a bit, and I'm having a lot of fun with that game. But I like this season a lot more than Primal. Primal it never 100% clicked. Like, we had some good matches. We had fun. We got some wins. Like, it was good. But it just, I think the whole, like, having the two separate types of weapons was a problem for me. Because then you heard me every fucking time. I got a primal bow. What can I make with this? And you guys would be like, oh, you have to use the gas cans, not the grenades or whatever the fuck else. Or it'd be like, I'd finally have 6 grenades and I'd have the wrong bow. And so that primal didn't click. But this season, I'm really, really liking it. It's a lot more straightforward. I felt like the weapons are good. Even though I just kind of trashed them a little, I really did like the bow. I liked shooting the bow and burning shit down, Yeah. I'm curious to see, I know sniper rifles are back, so I'm hoping those specialty types are back, like the one that fucking set stuff on fire.
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah.
I found the Stormcaller one, the one that has 6 rounds.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
But yeah, also for the show, because I forgot this came out before, since last one. Obviously, yes, it was confirmed. Obviously, it's Invasion, Season 7, and the things that they were hinting at were confirmed in the sense there is a Rick and Morty skin, Rick, and then in 60 days is like, we're actually going to Superman skin, which is really cool. And to more touch base what you said, I do like Season 7 a little bit more. I think also, I think Season 6 did click for me, but also I can't just became like just second nature. I'm just going to play it. But Season 7 I do enjoy because of sniper rifles are back. I also like the alien style of certain guns. The pulse rifle I'm still working on because it is not like I'd rather have a consistent going pop and like automatic go pop, pop, pop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting used to that, but I do love the alien style railgun for their sniper. For some reason, I don't know if it's because the bullet is a bigger bullet, so you have more space of that little line, but yeah, I really enjoy it.
And you could track it better too, you know, so it's not just like it's in a sense like a beam. Yeah, and even with the I like that the spaceships aren't everywhere. So for anyone who hasn't played, there's now like UFOs throughout the map. And what is it? If the name of them in the map is in purple, then that's where the aliens are invading or something like that.
Yes, during every round or every fortnight, you'll see certain locations like Steamy Stacks or even not Durburg because that's not labeled, but like
Wait, hold on,
Swamps.
You just got me fucked up. Like you just blew my mind. Every round is a fortnight?
Oh no, I just made that up.
Oh, okay, because I was like,
it's only 20.
Shit. Is that why it's called Fortnite? I mean, I know what a fortnight is. Okay, never mind. Keep going. Because I was like, wait, what?
No,
I know it's on the cycle, you know? Damn, you had me tripping.
but yeah, every labeled spot sometimes will have their name starts like glowing purple, and that's for you to know that has active alien activity. Where when I say that there will be 3 actual floating, driving around aliens with UFOs you can shoot down and take their rides, or when you're dropping, you can look for blue smoke, and that's where the IO guards are. And there might be a spaceship there, or they might have alien weapons, but there's no active like having to shoot to the sky like trespassers they call them.
And that's one of the highlights for me. You know me. I fucking love taking down the IOs. One, they complete quite a few challenges when you have to like get so many kills or so many headshots or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're perfect dummies to shoot at. So you can always nail at least 3 to 4, right?
Yeah. And
then they always drop a weapon that I like to use. So it's like seeing the IO come back was like, yes, I'm back, you know?
Yeah, no, it's really good. Obviously, we're only in week 1, and I know, like I said, Superman's going to be coming in 60 days, but there's still more secret skins being announced down the road. But yeah, I'm excited. Obviously, we're going to be jumping on, playing all night on nights and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the elephant in the room. Yes, I beat Ratchet and Clank, and I know you've played.
Well, hold up. I got one more question before we get to Ratchet and Clank.
Okay.
Being that I know that you live between the comic book world and the video game world, how do you feel about Superman holding a gun?
Oh, I don't care, because also I don't want to be like a purist on that occasion, because someone asked, Matt asked if he ever did. I Googled it and I did see the answer, but I'm like, either way, it's not going to be canon either way. There's a universe that Superman and Injustice killed the Joker and shit. So the idea of you can always go around it. Oh, Superman knows it's in a rotation. No one really truly dies. You know what I mean? You can make shit up.
And I guess if you're reading any of the 0 Point comics, and it doesn't really like ruin them, or maybe it will, I don't know. People don't read anyway, because if you know my rule, fuck reading.
Yeah.
So, they get their mind wiped every time there's a new, now I'm just going to call it a fortnight. Fuck it. Like every round, every fortnight is a new setting. It's like fucking Memento. They don't remember what happened before. So Superman can be like, shit, I don't know.
Yeah, Superman's a farm boy. He's not that smart.
Yeah, he's just out here trying to fuck sheep. That's all he knows.
Anyways,
Ratchet.
try to hide his grandfather's old white sheets, but no.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ratchet and Clank. What do you think of it?
I love it. I really, really love it. This is one of those games that, okay, I'm going to take it back to another game. The Astrobots game that's built into the PS5, like, really highlighted the capabilities of the console and the controller. And I wanted more of that. And then Ratchet and Clank came through and was like, oh, you want more of that? Fuck it, I'm doubling down. And then, like, doubled more of that. Where it's just like, the use of this is one of those rare times where it's like all the shit inside a controller actually feels like it has a purpose as opposed to just like a fucking gimmick. Like, it helps in the immersive experience. And then just the fucking speed in which it does things. Like, when you go from like rift to rift, it fucks me up that it does it like what I describe as in reverse. Like, the rift comes to you as opposed to you getting propelled into a rift.
Yeah.
And so like that shit is like, when it does that move, it's beautiful. Like, no fucking clipping, no tears. Like, it's not all jaggy and shit. That shit is like fucking water out of faucet. It is fucking smooth and seamless and like just, it's spot on. Level of difficulty is nice. I forgot how much I hate looking for gold bolts because they're just in the most like challenging of places. But if anyone's ever listened to me before, you know I don't do side quests. I just mainline the fuck out of a story. But Ratchet is one of those games where I like, because you can see everything on the map, that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna fucking zero this out as best as I can before I move forward. But it's good. So I'm at the part, where I'm now the Grey Lombax. I can't remember that character's name.
Rivet?
Is it Rivet? Yeah, I'm now Rivet. And, I'm in that like fucking swampy. It's like my first go as Rivet, and now I'm in like swampy area where I have to like knock down the bridges and shit.
Oh, yeah. So
I figure I'm in the first quarter still.
Yeah. There's only I think, there's 9 planets. So you're on the second planet.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, and also more glad to say it's probably my game of the year right now. It is definitely also I think they must have listened to you, because you don't need to get all the gold bolts to platinum it. You only need to get
tight.
You only have to get like 10 out of the 25.
Shit.
The only ones that you need to get, all of them is the little spy bots, because the spy bots will open up the last, well, one of the last guns.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then there is a teddy bear on each planet that is not on the map.
Okay, I got one of the teddy bears when I was Ratchet.
So you got the first one, and just so you know, so you don't have to even think about it, the second one is inside Rivet's house on the couch.
Okay.
But then the rest of them
Where I leave my seeds?
Yes. Yeah. But back to what I'm trying to say, it was more, I think either, maybe it's because I'm a trophy person. The trophies felt so easy, in the sense of, like, it just didn't feel so completed. It just felt like, I'm like, like, I don't want to have that conversation because I think it is worth $70, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I was, $70 for a game I beat in less time, and I didn't have to collect everything, which they don't usually have like a really bad, tedious like collect list,
Yeah.
It felt like it kind of dumbed it down on that side of it. But the gameplay, like you said, is excellent. You're talking about just the riffs. Being on the grind rails.
Oh yeah, man.
I even turned off my motion blur because I just wanted, like, it just felt so fast.
Yeah.
And like some of the later fights, it probably has the most enemies, and you have an AI or, friends, or also those bots that you can make. You can make bots or fungi and shit in the
Yeah, I just
weapons.
unlocked the first like fun guy.
Yeah, Mr. Fungi.
Yeah, Mr. Fun Guy.
But the idea of you can have those little bots on the field and like it's just it does show like there's no way with particles you can probably dumb it down and put on PS4 because like a lot of games are going back to
but
PS4.
there's so much going on. There's the little like particles that fall off when you wreck an enemy, but you have those particles falling, movement in the background, movement amongst you because they're not empty sets. You have like the sort of city folk or like villagers in the area being afraid, and they're animated. Like they're trying to hide and run too, which kind of fucked me up sometimes because I thought they were a villain.
Yeah.
But it's like you have them moving. Like I said, you have the background, you have the particles, you're breaking the boxes, you're fighting the villains, you're switching your weapons. Like there's a lot of movement on the screen and not one fucking splatter. But I can't see this happening on a PS4. I just can't. No.
And then also we're not even the conversation about ray tracing, which is how they give you, they start off the game like you probably want to play as performance ray tracing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, it doesn't go to true 4K. I think it's 1800, whatever. I'm not that kind of fucking person. But the idea of having that smooth 60 frames with the ray tracing reflections, it's crazy. And then I've heard the fidelity looks great, but obviously it's just locked in at 30. But I didn't play it at all. That's not performance. No. So I'm just more, it just more goes to show they have, it's crazy. And Insomniac is crazy. They made 3 games in 8 months to have, Spider-Man, which was cross-gen, the remastered of the original Spider-Man, plus Ratchet and Clank come out. And this apparently...
In terms of like Spider-Man and Ratchet, the audio is phenomenal because we just talked about the like sort of visual layers, how it's like it's multi-tiered in a sense. Like so is the audio. Like not only are you having your battle sounds, you're having your like you're having your fighting, you're having your sound effects from the particulates and breaking stuff, but you're also hearing the characters too that are like I mentioned earlier, like the villagers. They're making sounds. And the vehicles that are around you, if something's flying, or like when in that swampy place, you hear the, I can't remember the name of those little fucking trolley characters. They're making sounds. And like that fucking dinosaur thing's making a sound. Like, there's a lot of audio going on. How this game by itself doesn't fucking fill the whole hard drive by itself on a PS5 is like amazing. Cause usually that's the kicker there. It's not the visual, it's not the gameplay, it's the audio that eats up a fucking hard drive.
It's only 33 gigabytes with the day one patch.
Yeah.
And then also the idea that Insomniac's, some of the team members have already been on Twitter like, yeah, we did this and there was no crunch ever. We just did 40-hour weeks. Mm-hmm. And it just I think that was also this discussion for Spider-Man 2. So like they don't have no crunch at Insomniac in the past couple of years. That's pretty more a pat on the back to them. It's really cool.
Yeah. And I do think, I think they've created a good environment where they can get these things done because, I mean, you're always going to have these internet haters that are like, I know I saw a few people that were just like, yeah, you can get away with not having crunch when you're just making a stupid ass game like this. But it's like, number one, let me see you make a game.
Yeah.
Before you call it stupid. 2, it's complex. There's a lot going on. It's not just this fucking 8-bit remake of something else. Like, it's, like you said, even the ray tracing, like, you can see it even when he's grinding down the rails. Like, they didn't pull no punches in this fucking game. If you got a PS5, it's a must play. Like, you have to buy it.
Yes. But yeah, like I said, it's my game of the year. And then, but yeah, we're also going to do one more little thing that's more now become not niche, but like how the route that Cousin Cecil's been going. I got 2 early reviews of comics, and we'll get into the E3 that will be big.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
But first up, I got to read from Black Box Comics, I'm having a brain fart, Djinn Hunter 1. from Black Box Comics, like I said. Stories by Jay Sandlin, arts by Fabrizio Constantino, and of course he did. Fabrizio also did the coloring and the lettering, and also the cover artist of he's the main cover artist of the first issue. But no, and then I'll give you a quick synopsis. The cosmos are in chaos. The Elder Council of Djinns must stop their rogue member, Abyss, and his minions from granting wishes to mortals, resulting in untold horrors. The council's solution is an early prison release of Zara, a Djinn Hunter. With her Phoenix parole officer, Banu, will she hunt down the mad Djinn and doom the realms of destruction? And like that's the main synopsis, like how they're selling it. Because I want to keep it spoiler free. Like we do on the show, this is still in a 5 out of 5 rating, and I got to read it, like I said, and I am going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. I actually liked it a lot. Without more breaking down the real story wise, I think Jay did a really good job opening up like this idea that we're going into a brand new world, and like this whole idea of magic involved in the world was broke down really nicely. The artwork from Fabrizio was really well done, and which I like also is they kind of just sell it, just kind of they just start running into the whole conversation of like how magic works in this world. And then also like the cracking jokes with like the idea, like I said, she has a Phoenix as her parole officer because she was in prison for basically hiding somebody from the whole council, and that's a subplot. But it comes out in the end of July, and I highly recommend it. Not because I've been trying to say it since I got any of these early reviews. I'm not trying to say it because of I've talked to Jay. I'm not trying to say it like I got it for free. That makes it better. Like I don't want to say influencers do that, but that, I think that is part of their conversation some places. But no, it does really well. I think one thing I do wish they had was there were some moments where I wish they kind of labeled some of the monsters just to give me as a dumb reader, like, oh, that's a gargoyle or
you need a little context.
Yes, because after the fight, they call it a genie also. So I'm like, I want to know, where's the categories of different types of djinns in this world? You know what I'm saying? But it leaves on a great hook for issue 2. But yeah, congrats to Black Box Comics and Jay for a 4.5 out of 5 out of Cousin Cecil. I know how much it matters. And then the second one is I got to read from Vault Comics, Resonant issue 10, which is now the final issue of this series. We've obviously had DB on a side bonus episode and all that fun jazz. He was there nice enough to give me an early issue, and I don't have a real synopsis for it besides the idea it's the last fight or conclusion of the whole series, what happened between 1 and 9, and how 9 left off. It involved the dad, obviously, with the new group of humans. Those group of humans were kind of living with forgot what it's called, but the wave crashes on them, like the wave of they get impulses, and then when they're not outside this town that the father was stuck in, people get those weird suicidal thoughts or violent thoughts. That's what runs them through the wave, and that's why they have what's that insect that just came out of that 17 years of hibernation?
The cicada.
Yeah, the cicadas are used in this book, and they use them as warnings. And oh, here comes a wave because the cicadas already sense it and all that shit. So they have to either tie themselves down, or how this family of the guy can do a meditation and shit. But issue 10, back to that, because I don't want to stick around this long for it. I think it's really well done. The artwork is very great, like it's always been. That's with Skylar Patridge is the artist for the second volume, which is obviously 6 through 10. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And the only reason why I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 compared to, like, let's say, like Djinn Hunter is because it's more of a, not a statement for the writers or the artist crew. I really hope Vault will let DB and like Skylar come back and do like even like a super one shot, or at least get the okay to do a third volume, because the ending was good, but it felt like it was wrapping it up faster than what the team wanted, because of, things are out of their hands. They can only do 10 issues right now. They can only do 10 issues. That's the only part. Just more congratulations to DB and Skylar for 4 out of 5. It's still great, and I still recommend them. Obviously, in this episode, you'll see the links in the bio of like where to go buy them and stuff, and then also teaser. Skylar's going to be on next week's episode of Wednesday.
The Wednesday episode. Nice. Now, I just want to add this in, just for any listeners. I really have to say, as a very entry-level comic book reader, I really respect Mike's opinion in how he breaks down his comics and even his suggestions. I do feel like they're genuinely like authentic. They're honest. We'll have conversations like offline, online type of shit off to the side. And, he's made some recommendations that are very, very spot on. So, I say really, really listen to what this guy is saying, because, he's definitely given, an honest, opinion on these. So shout out to you for that, man.
Well, thanks.
You did good work.
The trick is, because comic people are very nice, they have their DMs open, so I get to talk to them. But yeah, I digress. And obviously more happy to get that thing off the get-go. Now we can get into the big fish, which is E3. And this week, obviously, thankfully, Geoff Keighley made it go a little earlier than how I loved how every place last week was like, E3's next week. Dude, it's almost at the end of the weekend. It's like you have the whole still work all the way till they have any enjoyment. But also the idea of what is it? We'll get into the Summer Game Fest.
Yes, let's start. I think that's the best place to start.
Yeah. So what we're not gonna do it for all of them, but I feel Summer Game Fest is definitely one that has earned the reputation. At least get how would you grade? You don't even have to grade it, but what's your first feelings on the overall Summer Game Fest?
Well, I'm going to keep it on the 5-point scale.
Okay.
And I'm going to give the Summer Games Fest, I think, in my opinion, a solid 4.5. And no matter what, I always think there's room for growth. I want to take it back to last year. See, because this really shows that, like, Geoff Keighley is about this life. You know what I mean? Like, he's been doing his video game award show. Like, he's been in the mix, but he's also been about the YouTubing and the Twitch streaming. Like, he's been connected. So he's not detached so far from, like, how media functions nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, conventions are archaic. And, like, talking to a friend of mine who is a higher up in Sony, there's a reason why they don't do E3 and they stop doing their own PlayStation experience. It costs a lot of money, and there's no, like, it's kind of like they're trying to suck their own dick. Like, who's this for? It's for us to, it's for the industry to show the industry, where they're like, yeah, that doesn't translate into dollars. That, we already got our investors. We're already showing product.
Yeah.
So, to bring it back to Geoff, though, like, he does this for the gamer, and he understands it. Now, last year's Summer Games to this Summer Games, what a fucking leap. His green screen was on point. His musical artists were, like, seamless because they were in the fucking game. Like, I'm familiar with Japanese breakfast, and not a artist that I'm like super big, no shade or anything like that. It's just not my wave, that shit, I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to like go back and listen to Japanese Breakfast some more because that was fucking awesome. That marriage of the embedded sort of scenery around while she was singing, I was like, fucking tight. And then just the way that the show was like timed and it progressed, I was just like, yeah, he just set a standard that I don't see Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, like none of these guys are going to do it. They do the same shit. And that's middle-aged and over male, t-shirt, blazer, jeans, comes out on stage and talks. Just a fuck, and like no charisma, no like, they're not a part of the event. They're just like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm going to talk to you today about one of our new games.
Yeah.
And it's just like, fucking boring, dude. And whereas Geoff came through and was just like, man, he laid waste to people. He killed it.
Yes, I agree. And we're also, just because it's been a niche thing at the show, and we're gonna break down, or not break down like everything. What do you think of this? I'm just gonna go through the whole list of like the games that were announced at Summer Game Fest, but backtrack to I will give it a 4 out of 5. I'm glad to hear that you like it more than me, but I'm also, it's because of I think mine is, I agree with you. I think Geoff Keighley, out of a lot of people who are still, because he's not, of course, he's not a reviewer. He's not in that weird influencer as like a way of like, he's not trying to sell you the product besides the idea of it's a good time to be a gamer because of XYZ.
Yeah. He does it for the love of the game, not to flip sponsors. Not to be like, oh, I don't want to make Amazon mad. Like, he used Amazon money. Like, I believe it was sponsored by Amazon. It was not egregious. It wasn't like Geoff Keighley and Amazon present Summer Games, or, you know, it wasn't like in your fucking face. Like, you knew it was there, but it wasn't that bad.
It did it so smoothly, because we'll break it down right now. Like Summer Game Fest, it started with Gearbox's new game with the Borderlands style art. It's a medieval fantasy world with guns and arcana magic. It's called Tiny Tina's Wonderland. It's going to come out early 2022. It's inspired by the older DLC from Borderlands 2, the Dragon Keep of.
Yeah, wasn't it just like Tiny Tina something?
Yeah, like the Dragon Keep of Tiny Tina or some shit. Yeah, exactly. But just, they kept on hitting us over the head about it. It's a new game. You do not have to play any Borderlands to understand what's going on. Mm-hmm. But it just, they just wanted to say we have a new title, which is really cool. And then they open it up with Metal Slug Tactics. So it's obviously Metal Slug, but on an RTS. RTS? Nope. More like a Final Fantasy Tactics style game. And it looked good. Actually, I'm like, hey, that might be a way to get back into Metal Slug, because I've always liked that art style of Metal Slug. Mm-hmm. It's always like when people think of early video games, Metal Slug, I bet money is on those memories people have in their minds of like classic video games. I really liked it. And then also, don't be shy. You can stop us, because I think this next one might be a conversation piece. Then boom. Geoff Keighley got to have Hideo Kojima come on a Zoom call, talk about COVID, change his creative styling. And it was kind of tired. And then for some reason he brought about 9/11. Thinks aliens could be in a game because it could happen in real life. That's what I was talking about. Like, he had some weird conversations in a subtitled convo.
And that's a part where I felt like, if there's one thing that Geoff Keighley needs to let go of, that's his relationship with Kojima. And not let go, but just, I don't need it every year, at every event, at everything, where it's just like, okay, good, you got a famous friend. Like, great. You know, like, that's fine. Like, have that. But just, he leans in a little too hard on Kojima. And I'll say this, I know it's problematic. You'll probably lose some listeners.
Who, you?
Well, you'll still have one, because I'll still listen. But, like, I don't like the fucking Metal Gear games. they were too up their own asses. Just to use one of my favorite quotes from Family Guy, when I think he talked about Godfather, where he says, it just insists upon itself. It's like, it just forces it, like, its weight, and it's like, it's not that great. Like, it really isn't.
Behind the veil.
Not saying it's bad, it's just not that great, but people really fucking go, like, hard for Kojima. Now, the contrast, Death Stranding, my God, I loved the fuck out of that game. Like, a lot. The storytelling was amazing. Once I understood what the game was, aside from everyone calling it UPS the game, like, if you called it UPS the game, you didn't play the game. You just didn't. Because you didn't understand what it was. But all in all, he needs to chill on Kojima. Like,
I'll be more instead. I haven't played any Metal Gears besides 4 because it came with my PS3 bundle, and I beat that one. And of course, I liked it, of course. And then I ain't gonna lie, I'm more that person. I'm waiting for the remaster or a remake because I ain't gonna go back to play a PS1 game and have that same thrill of like Psycho Mantis reading my memory card or shit. So I want to see I want a more modern take of it. And like you did say it. That conversation gave Geoff Keighley to announce that Death Stranding, the director's cut, is coming. And in a couple of weeks, it will be a full reveal. But the trailer was very interesting because for Metal Gear fans, it kind of made it look like it was going to give like Metal Gear VR mission like style. Like, here's a scenario and have Sam go through the wall, like from this door to the next door in without being seen idea. Like, that's what people were pumping it up. It made it look like it was going to be like a VR mission extra content.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another conversation going on that says it's actually might be just showing Metal Gear or Hideo saying, I am putting it to rest. That's why Sam put it back on the shelf after the little tease of jumping in like a cat.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I think I agree also. How do I word it? Geoff Keighley being friends with Hideo Kojima is only cool if Geoff Keighley can actually be the one that say, jump Hideo, because obviously it's the other way around. He is pampering to Hideo, waiting for the time it's okay for Hideo can say it. Hey, it's a game reveal since of NDAs and all that shit. If it's the other way around and he goes, hey, I got you, buddy, and then he gives Geoff Keighley something that quick, that's different. But it's not bad.
But it's like Geoff Keighley's got the juice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he kind of makes himself look like a simp to Kojima. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't recognize, like, he's already fucking driving the ship. He's doing the thing. You don't need Kojima. Not saying anything about, like, they're really, like, cool, you're friends. Great. But it's that one moment where it's like, yeah, you lose a little bit of yourself by how much you, like, ride so hard for this guy.
Yeah.
No, like, I agree.
That's that fucking guy. But back to also real quick, Metal Gear Tactics and Death Stranding Director's Cut did not have any release dates, so just so we know on there, we'll continue. And we had a special Jeff Goldblum world premiere game announcement of Jurassic World Evolutions 2 coming out on all systems.
Shout out to Jeff Goldblum. Yeah. I have no interest in playing that fucking Jurassic Park game.
The first one's good.
That guy can sell the shit out of. I was like, I want to play this. I know I don't, but I do because of the way he fucking sold it. I was like, that guy's a national fucking treasure.
He's in the first one too. The game's pretty good. It's a really good park builder.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you were playing with your son?
Yeah, I have the first. Yeah, I played the first one, and I gotta still finish it. But I like it because what's the word? I am interested if the second one gives you maybe a bigger world and maybe not 5 islands, and you have to, each of them have their own problems. I want this idea of like making a safari reserve where they all live together, not all fenced in. So I'm very interested in that. I think it'd be kind of cool. But we'll continue, and it's going to be out this year. It says we'll see if that happens. But yes, like you said, then we had our first music and chance with Japanese Breakfast, and they were doing music they did music for the game Sable, which is out in September, and the game looks really good. I know that
it does.
The music I like the music. I actually like that indie style of, I don't even know how to describe it, but I do like that Japanese breakfast. I never heard of them before, but I do like it. And
I'll say this real quick. Just as a big snapshot on E3, what we've seen so far, this reminds me a lot of, I think it was like the second year of like the 360 PS3 era, where we started getting really good like indie games. Like there's a lot of indie shit coming up for next year or now through to next year, where I'm like, okay, we're really trying to like break genres again. Yeah. And that Sable game, that was one of them. There's like quite a few in there that I'm like, they're not clones of something else. They're really just trying to do something like different.
Well, I would say, because this is my views of Sable without truly knowing. I did get that Journey vibe, or like Pathless.
I was gonna say, it gave me a little bit of a Journey vibe, but only in aesthetic.
Yes, and I think it's also because of the music too. The whole aesthetic. I'm still interested, and I will say that too while we're going through this, because I think we might brush by the Tribeca Gamefest, but I want to more say overall the indie games carried this E3 compared to some of these big like Ubisoft and all that shit, which we'll get into, but we'll continue. And obviously this was the first, I guess would be the first like Amazon plug game. They had like Lost Ark MMO RPG. Is kind of like has like Diablo mapping, Outfall 2021, which is obviously turned into a Prime Gaming ad. Hey, it's how you make the bills run for Geoff.
Right. Exactly. But that's a good example there too, is that it wasn't a fucking beat you over the head commercial. He was in it was sponsored by Amazon.
Yeah.
Right? And they still put a game out there, not just hey everybody, Prime Day's on fucking June 21st. It was like, nah, here's a game. Like it was embedded seamlessly and not just like an abrupt stop.
Yeah, instead of showing the Lost Ark game, they could have just done like a big Prime Gaming ad plug, which again, there are going to be more plugs coming down the pipe. But the idea, the first one felt very smooth. Hey, Lost Ark, and it's from Amazon. So, hey, Amazon Priming gets you probably a discount or some shit. And then we got the first trailer for Warzone Season 4. And they also showed, it comes out June 17th. And they also showed the captains for the Twitch rival shit. Well, who cares?
Now, I am kind of hyped on the Warzone changing to World War II, because that is my favorite type of Call of Duty. It's
really
way more stripped down. You know, it's not all like, because it's fucking rifles and basic machine guns, like type of stuff. It's a little more straightforward. Not a lot of extra weaponry. Now, if you play Warzone, have you ever played Warzone?
No.
Dude, let's play. It's good. It's really, really good. Now, I know you prefer more the third person over the first person, but it's a fun fucking game. But to get into the World War II aspect that I know is coming down the road, like, I'm hyped. Like, that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll see.
I will not play with my son, who plays a lot of Warzone, and definitely not Skinny Matt.
Woo, inside jokes. Then we obviously had surprise Ryan Reynolds just doing a quick ad for the Free Guys game or movie coming out in August. Who cares?
I'm stoked.
It's been in limbo so long because of the accusations of Fox. We'll see how it goes. Next was Among Us roadmap. It shows that they're going to bring in new modes like hide and seek, new roles like sheriff and scientist, etc. And Jeff's face is returning from a very limited time it was before. It's just a Twitch drop, which is kind of cool for the game. And then
But are people still playing Among Us?
Yes.
I feel like it fell off like hard.
There's still a community, and also, to be honest, I'm waiting for the PlayStation one, which I think we got the date through Xbox today, but because they said the update's going to be we'll get to it. That's another thing I didn't like. I'm doing these fucking notes for this show, and so we're watching one thing, and then there's another little bit of information dump on something on another day.
Yeah.
God damn it! So I have to say it again later. But yeah, I'm excited for Among Us in the sense of I think the hide and seek idea, because I don't know exactly how to play it. It looks interesting, but again, I'm waiting for a console edition. I could play it on my phone, but I want one that has a more easier access to chat for me. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It is coming either the end of this month or in July. But we'll get there when we get to Xbox. Next was obviously Shuhei Yoshida was on there promoting this indie game called Chicory, which is out now. And that just an indie game. It looked pretty cool. It has a very artsy, not like artsy, but like a very kiddie, like you play as like this little art puppy thing. It looked all right. It looked okay. I need to look more into it more than just a little trailer. And then the bigger, quote unquote, bigger indie PlayStation like plug was the Souls-like 2D Salt and Sacrifice sequel. Oh no. Yep. It's the other way around. Salt and Sanctuary.
Salt and Sanctuary.
Yes. Is going to be, the new one is called Salt and Sacrifice. But yes, it is a 2D, like Dark Souls style game. And this one, it seems like the sequel is bringing in co-op, local and online. It's going to come out 2022. And then we had Annapurna's new trailer for Solar Ash, which is again the one that was highlighted on the PlayStation State of Play before. It's still coming this year. They didn't put a real date on it yet, it said. Chivalry 2 trailer because the game's out now. And then June 14th was the year anniversary for Valorant. And they had like literally a 3-second trailer for a new character. They said more to come later this month. Whatever. New area for Escape from Tarkov called Streets of Tarkov. So yeah.
Now I added to the Tarkov notes too, where I put AKA Modern Warfare 3.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it looks a lot like Modern Warfare 3. Like, so some of this, watched a little bit with my son who is 12 years old, and so then he actually is working his way through the Call of Duty games and just the campaigns. And so he was like, he's like, I've seen this before. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, where? And he's like, this looks a lot like Modern Warfare 3. And I was like, totally does. Like 100%. And I felt like, quite a few of these like first person shooter type games that are coming out or that were discussed or announced during this E3, they really fell flat. Like, I know I'm going to take us a little bit off the script and kind of bounce around a little bit, but like, Tarkov felt like Modern Warfare 3. What's the fucking Tom Clancy game?
The Extraction?
Extraction one? That shit looked like Unreal Tournament from like 2013. Like, the visual graphics of it just looked real dated and kind of like corny. Like, it wasn't like dialed in like how it should be. Battlefield 2042 straight up looks like a reskinned Battlefield 4 from like way back. And that was one when we were talking, like my son and I were sitting there watching these things and we're just like, he's like, I played this game. And I was like, yeah, you did. And he's like, this is Battlefield 4. And I was like, yep, it's the exact same fucking game. Like, it doesn't look any different. And so I feel like this E3, if anything, this is where first person shooters really fell on their face. Like, and maybe it's starting to run its course that there's only so much you can do without bending the genre even further. Like, it's the landscape changes. Nothing's constant, nothing's forever. But some of these games that are coming out now are just really like I said, and just speaking in the first person realm, it really felt like a been there, done that, or this just looks like that thing from 10 years ago.
I will say the Tarkov one, that game has been out for maybe a year or two on PC. So again, they get more shit in. I'm not 100% sure what that game is besides it's a battle royale in the sense of you're killing and you can like pickpocket them like PUBG.
Yeah.
And like I think there's involving like you have to wave onto your helicopter to get out of there or some shit. But I do agree we're gonna first person shooters, if they're gonna stick to multiplayer sense, are definitely gonna hit a wall. Because you can only go back in time, you can only make futuristic guns, like with the Battlefield, like you said. I'm kind of excited for Battlefield because I was getting a little tired of the classic guns. So it's kind of cool to have a modern, like a new host game to have modern guns in it. But I do agree because that's a whole nother conversation because I don't know where their brain is at to go to the $70 price tag because of PlayStation was promoting it. So they're gonna be really nice to PlayStation gamers, and we have beta access more before Xbox and shit. Even though Xbox,
but no campaign, right? Just battle royale, multiplayer, or something like that.
Yep, but that's a whole nother conversation. Maybe we'll get into it with the Xbox part, but also that was a flash in the pan on the Xbox thing. They were just more showing it, like, oh look, we got it too. But obviously the Summer Game Fest still continue. We had like world premiere of from the 2 Point Hospital team. They did 2 Point Campus, so basically making a college sim from their hospital simulator. Like their game looks pretty fun in the sense it's there to be jokey. They like in particular last week they just put Sonic skins in there so you can be a nurse that dress up as Sonic and shit. And then Netflix plug of Geoff Keighley being on the next tomorrow, like the next day's Geek Week conversation, which he was there for, like all the gaming stuff, like Cuphead cartoon, the Resident Evil cast reveal, and nope, not He-Man. That was the day before, but all game related Netflix shit. So, and then it goes into the idea that also brought up Smite, which is high res, but I digress. They're having a Stranger Things crossover. The trailer comes out in July, I believe, and you'll get to play as Eleven or Hopper, and then obviously there's going to be an Upside Down, the Upside Down from Stranger Things battle arena. So that's pretty cool in the sense of, I guess, collaborating. Shows might keep on making stuff. The last one they just did before that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So they've been doing pretty nerdy crossovers, which I enjoy seeing. And then we also got this one starts a whole conversation because these guys had a game publisher reveal and sizzle trailer for the publisher called Prime Matter. And they were proud to say they have 12 games under their belt. One of them is Payday 3, which they kind of announced that it's coming. This Prime Matter also has the rights to Kingdom Come Deliverance and more IPs that are in that AA range. And they also were just more happy to say that they're collaborating with Saber to make a new Painkiller. And this is probably the best moment to just say Prime Matter had their own, it's held by, or the company Koch, Koch, is their actual parent company. So they thought it would be a good idea to have their own little presentation the next day that was 2 hours long with maybe 3 minutes of game footage.
Oh yeah, that's too much.
And they had and I'm inside my basement with a blue sheet behind me. But the idea of I felt confident in my conversations with comic book creators, even just you and me chatting right now. I felt more comfortable in my interviewing compared to this girl named Opal granted, she's there for a check. She did a great job for getting a check, but this was not needed. The Coke Media presentation was not needed. The best thing for Coke Media was just being on the Summer's Game Fest with Geoff Keighley, because then also they had Geoff Keighley go over and become like a guinea pig just to keep doing segues back to Opal talking to the Coke Media fucking Prime Matter bullshit studios. And for 2 hours, the only information you needed to know was Kingdom Come Deliverance is coming to the Switch.
That's it.
And they thought it was so funny that they made the game, or the game was made after it was announced, but they weren't even the ones that announced it. It was not real when it was announced to come to Switch.
Yeah. I don't know if I saw it on IGN or Kotaku. That was like the game nobody asked for, Kingdom Come Deliverance, is coming to the Switch. Yeah. I was like, damn, that's fucked up.
I think if it was Kotaku, they did it because of people gave it bullshit, or like they're upset because it was all white people in it, like NPCs and everything. I had never played the game, but I'm assuming it was in the Northern England where it's all white, so I don't know. But I digress on that. What is it? Then they had a Xbox PC Game Pass exclusive. What is it? I forgot what it was. I didn't even know. The Anacrusis. Seems like a futuristic Left 4 Dead with prey monsters as the zombies. It sounded, before we even get into today's announcement, it looked kind of cool. I'm like, oh, cool. There's going to be a shadowy monster version of Left 4 Dead, and it's still coming to Xbox. That's pretty neat. And I did like the dialogue that the characters were having each other during their fights. Did you see this?
No, this one I missed.
It was okay. It has a very nice artsy, but very art cartoon style. It's not too realistic. And like you've played the newest Prey. The monsters do come at you in that weird shadowy, jittery, like they're changing different shapes. It was it looked all right. Then we had the New World Plug, which is an Amazon game. Then Rocket League Cross Fast 9. So we have like skins for your Rocket League game, which is technically.
Oh yeah, and then you can get the Fast and the Furious skins.
Yeah, you get you get the fastest car in the fastest world and like the skyline and all that shit. We also got like apparently this company Shark Mob updated. They're making a Vampire the Masquerade universe multiplayer game. It's called Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. You can sign up for the alpha July 2nd, out this year. It looked okay. I'll give it that. It looked kind of better than the story mode Vampire the Masquerade that was on Xbox's presentation a couple way back. Then they said, oh wait, it's delayed till we fix it. Sorry. And then what is it? We had monster trailer of the third game. Oh, that's what it is.
I still need to play the second one of the Dark Pictures anthology game.
Yeah, House of Ash. And this was the trailer that kind of revealed the monster of the third installment. That's the better words.
Which I gotta say, this looked a lot better than the last trailer they did. Last one they did, whenever that was, just a few months back.
Yeah.
The trailer, the animation looked a little janky. This looked a lot better, a lot more cleaned up.
Yeah, I like it. I'm the same boat as you. I have the second one. I just haven't played it yet. I also like this. I think for a horror story, I think this kind of cool idea of being like the Middle East desert and like kind of starting a new like lore of that kind of monster is pretty cool. But yeah, we'll get more into that when it gets out in October 22nd. But then they had the Tales of Arise trailer, more info to come out, more info coming. It's later out, September 10th. Sky, a game, I forgot what the little synopsis is, but the game's called Sky and it comes out on Nintendo Switch. It's apparently from that game company, and it's also from the universe of The Little Princess, a Netflix series. Whatever. Just more fodder for Geoff Keighley to get some funding for this show, I feel. Xbox PC exclusive Planet of Lana, an off-Earth adventure, comes out 2022. That's a very artsy indie game. It looked kind of all right. Then we had Overwatch 2. And then they said there that they're switching their format to 5v5 playset. So how would that, because you played Overwatch, how would that change it for you?
You know, for me, like, I think I approach Overwatch differently from like how a lot of people do, and that like I don't take it too serious. Like 5v5, 6v6, 8v8, I'd still play it probably the same way. What really comes into play is just the level design. Does the level design complement 5v5? Because once you figure out how the levels work, and I think that's kind of where Blizzard shines with Overwatch, is their level design is really well done, because not only is it like, you know, point A to point B type of thing, but it's also like multi-tiered, like vertically, you know, cliffs and crags and rooftops and shit like that. So I'm kind of fine with it. Did they kick out a date?
Did not say the date. On here, they just showed skins for Baptiste, a medic. I think he's new. And then a new.
No, I think Baptiste and Sombra are both in the game. I think they're just getting new skins. But I do think that Overwatch 2 is a misstep.
Really?
I think that Overwatch, the first one, is strong enough on its own that I think they should just do what Blizzard does, like upgrade packs. You know what I mean? Like how they've done a bunch, like how they fucking handle their other games. You know, just like an expansion pack, a bigger thing to add on to kind of boost it up. Because Overwatch is still solid. Like, it's not like the game's fucking dying. I can hop on today and there'd be a gang of people on. There's always someone on my fucking PlayStation's playlist playing Overwatch, like all the time. So I think jumping over, I'm like, it's not offering enough new stuff to make me say, yeah, fucking Overwatch 2. And especially it doesn't have a campaign.
The perk is for you is it does have a campaign, Overwatch 2. The perk.
I'm saying like 1 to 2, but does 2 have a campaign? I thought it just was more of the same. Or it's like a weird campaign. It's not a campaign. It's like a fucking playthrough type of shit.
Well, I'm not sure exactly, but I know that they said there is a single player mode. And then the thing which you're saying is you can still, as an Overwatch player, you don't have to buy the second one. They're not breaking up the community. You can jump on maps that are on Overwatch 2 through your Overwatch 1 game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's where it's in a really fuzzy, Overwatch is in a fuzzy spot for what they should be doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we had obviously just the Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, just saying that it's going to be on Game Pass on day one on June 22nd. They had like WWE Star Amber Moon and Hammer Buress doing like a demo, which was all right. Paladins Cross Genlock out July. Switch exclusive Monster Hunter Story 2, which we knew trailer. July 9th it is out, and it showed the amiibos that comes off, so just more physical DLC for suckers. Then we had a Weezer music break, and what I thought was kind of cool, because it talks about this game that's behind them playing called Wave Break. And it looked kind of cool. It looked like an arcadey, like if Tony Hawk was using a boat instead of a skateboard. It looked pretty fun. But the thing that was kind of neat was Weezer made a whole set of music safe for streaming so that you don't get those pings and copyright infringement.
Yeah, and I thought that was pretty rad, because that's been the news lately too, is how they made this like you said, like safe for streaming music, because we're starting to lose a lot of good content because of the copyrights. And even if it isn't like at the most forefront, that it breaks the fucking, 30-second mark or whatever shit it is, it's like, man, it's fucking people over big time. Or if the audio is embedded in a game you're already playing, it's like, well, then inadvertently you have also played it. And, so it's like, damn, that fucking sucks. So for a major band who has some real longevity to come through and be like, here you go. Like, have fun with this music. Like, I think that's a really, really good move. Unlike, still being mad at Metallica for shutting down Napster because they're little bitches, even though we all know that the music industry doesn't make money off of, albums. They make it off of touring. Or that's where the bands make their money. So, anyways, Weezer, I think that was a good move. Yeah. I think that's really, really smart.
Yeah. And then obviously we had, extended trailer for Endless Dungeon. That looked really good. It's from the Sega Amplitude team. I don't know if it's going to be out soon. I'll skip that one just because it's going to go into the Ubisoft shit. But Nier Automata 2B skin is going to be at Fall Guys on June 18th. Then we got a Genshin Impact update, which is just, if you're in those games, you already know it, but it's really cool. But one of the bigger things was we had a team reveal called Deviation Games. It's a new developer, and they're a bunch of ex-Black Ops. They say it's Call of Duty, but I more focused. I saw that they were the ones that kind of worked on Call of Duty Black Ops, so they're more Treyarch guys. Mm-hmm. This is their new studio, and they are excited to say on their first game they have partnered with PlayStation, so they're going to have an exclusive game coming out with PlayStation, which is the same idea that I forgot, they just had another exclusive announcement about a month ago. So this is one of the other 25 that PlayStation said we have exclusives coming out. So it's really cool to hear. Nothing else besides they did the proper thing. Fuck that Coach Media fucking thing. They just said, yeah, we got something coming. We're excited. We'll see you when we're ready. We didn't have to do no fucking 2-hour fucking presentation. Then we had a Sonic music break from Sonic Unleashed. Tease of a new boss for Back for Blood, and the beta news that the beta is on August 5th.
Now, what do you think about this Back for Blood game?
I'm excited, but I'll probably will pick it up because I think I do miss Left 4 Dead, and then that's another part I wanted to get into when we get an Xbox. Yeah. I think it's very funny that there are people in these echo chambers of studios that do not talk to each other, but we get indie games that kind of look kind of close into the same indie path.
Yeah.
But I'll give them the credit of, like, you know what? They have their own heart set and whatever. But I do think it's funny that I just said there was an indie game that has Left 4 Dead monsters that look like prey. We have Back for Blood, which is the original Left 4 Dead people.
Yeah.
And we have Xbox that just announced that Arcane has a Left 4 Dead with vampires coming out.
Yeah.
I think that's very odd.
Yeah, and you kind of see those weird cycles too, where they kind of just like, it's like, who did it first? It's almost like going back to what we were saying earlier with like Overwatch and Paladins. Paladins was in production prior to Overwatch, but they have like the same fucking characters. So it's like, how did you end up in that place? You know? And so it's just interesting how these things kind of balance out. Now, one thing I want to mention real quick, and then maybe we just jump straight into like today's stuff with like Xbox. But, this E3, if anything, should have been called the E3 Far Cry 6 edition, because Far Cry 6 is fucking everywhere. But I will give them this. They are doing a good job of teasing the game without giving away the game. Like, we've seen the bad guy, we've seen a little bit of the story, we've seen the weapons, but still haven't given away the whole narrative. We just know set pieces, you know? And so I'm actually really hyped for this. Just kind of from what I've seen on Far Cry, like, I didn't really get into Far Cry until these last two or three, or the last two that came out.
You know, like Far Cry 3?
Far Cry 3, you know what it is? At that time, Far Cry 3, and it still exists to an extent, the way the characters move and the way the vehicles move, they feel like they're on rails or like their momentum like speeds. It's really fucking weird. I don't like it. Okay. The way like they don't have weight. They're very light. And so Far Cry 3, I just never really, I think I played a little bit of it. What do we get? If you like pre-order Far Cry 6, you get Blood Dragon, which
you get the season pass.
Oh yeah, if you get the season pass. Now I really like Blood Dragon, but let me tell you, 10 years later, I'll give a fuck about Blood Dragon. Like we've had Blood Dragon down to like $2 and for free so many times that like, really, this is the incentive? Like, you know what would have been awesome because you just mentioned Far Cry 3? I was really hoping for like a remake or something like that to be like, hey, guess what? You pre-order, we'll give you Far Cry 3 as like a HD remaster or something like that.
That was the Far Cry 5 incentive.
Was it?
Yeah, I have it.
Word?
Yeah.
All right, I'm fucking tripping. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. That's why I don't have a gaming podcast anymore.
You've been watching the clock. No, I was gonna get you down. I was gonna get into like just more, break it down real quick. Obviously, they had an extended look of Evil Dead game because that's the first time we got to see it. It looks all right. It looks like basically a 4v1 sometimes, or I think it's all. I don't even know if it's all bot. It was kind of all fucked up.
Yeah,
it looked good. Like obviously, it's the Friday the 13th team. It looks really good. And then obviously Summer Game Fest ended on Elden Ring with the actual, it's real. There's mounts.
I think that's when I messaged you. Like, why should I care about this game?
It's one of those ones that he got to announce it and then it's been silent and he got to at least get his payback for it. But it's coming out January 21st, 2022 on everything. But yeah, I think, like we said, 4.5, 4 out of 5 for Geoff Keighley's show. Obviously, applause all around. And then so we can get into, like you said, today's stuff. Then we had Day of the Dev. I recommend everybody should go watch it because, in my opinion, I love the atmosphere the Day of the Dev's showing does. It gives you I think it gives you the proper it could be just two people as the studio. Meet these guys. Here's their game and move it on. And I really enjoy it. And I think Day of the Dev, there's also, I think there was one, like the humble stream, like all these very mellow, chill, streams that was going on. More for Day of the Devs because we are going to get into Ubisoft right now, but I just want to give a shout out to, I see that Axiom Verge 2 was announced for Switch, and it was now confirmed it's going to be on PS5, PS4. No Xbox yet. And then another one, just more, that Road 96. That game, every time I see it, is very interesting. And how they kept saying it, so I don't think any guys are going to bullshit us. They said there's like over 1,000 different ways that game can end.
Yeah.
It looks very interesting. I think that's very interesting. And then just to double check before we walk over, I also like that Moon Glow Bay, which is like a Harvest Moon, except fishing's more important than like crops, and you're just trying to build the town and a very mellow, chill thing. But yeah, and then obviously they ended it with Oxenfree Lost Signals. Not even extended play, like they played music, which was all right. And then we obviously had the Tribeca Game Fest, and the only thing out of that, besides I think someone should just check it out because it's very interesting, was for us, Kenna Bridge of Spirits was that the first time it was confirmed for PS4?
I don't know if I caught that part. Because it was almost like on each of these presentations, I always missed the last 30 to like 45 minutes.
No, because I can't remember if it was, so it goes into like we lost another exclusive for the PlayStation, but I don't care. I just more wanted to say the news of like that. If it was announced, it was announced there. And I'm like, it kind of sucks that it's cross-gen, but I'm still going to have fun with it.
Yeah.
And then that was basically it for the first day. And then IGN had a bunch of quick little trailers. And the only one I wanted to tell anybody was you guys should all check out Bramble, the Mountain King. That was a really trippy looking indie game. But all right, we're actually in today's news. Ubisoft, what would you give it out of 5? 4 out of 5, or you know what I mean?
Ubisoft, honestly, maybe a 2. I wasn't like I didn't see anything that floored me. It wasn't anything that was like super new and amazing. It was just like, okay, you know, not bad, but just not like wowed.
I'm going to give it a 2.5 because I think we'll both agree. I think it was just they played it safe.
Yes.
They had a whole year, and I know they've been doing Ubisoft Forwards in between, so maybe that's also what slows it down, the thunder of like what could be E3. But it just played it safe. They obviously, like you said, Extraction. It looks okay. It doesn't have like the next gen infidelities that we're looking for, but I'm pretty confident it's gonna be solid. If they're going to do the same patches they were doing with Siege, I bet money it's going to be a 120 frame alien fighting game or whatever they're trying to do with it. I thought it's interesting. I think the background stuff of Extraction seems good. Like the idea of like, if you lose a character, they're MIA until you save them again. You can lose weapons and shit. But yeah. And then what's another thing? That too. They also play it safe. I don't give a fuck about Mythic Quest or like the Werewolf Within movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, they still don't understand what they have. Like Tom Clancy or Splinter Cell, they're like, "Oh, you want a Netflix show? No, we want a game. We get you a Netflix show." That's not what I said.
Yeah, and I think it's like how you said though, like not knowing what they have. Like this could have been a fucking like blowout, go big, like that Rocksmith thing. I love music.
Yeah.
And I love learning how to play like different instruments. Like I'm for that. This shit was so boring that I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like I have Rocksmith and you actually learn how to play the instruments. The way that they sold it was like, oh, God, it was like me wanting to buy like ABC Mouse off of the TV. It didn't like fucking sell. But it goes through like all the elements. My kids love, I buy Just Dance every year because my kids play the fuck out of it. And Todrick Hall, who is an amazing choreographer, they didn't even use him to the fullest. It was like all these things were just like, hey, we're still gonna bring you a Tom Clancy game. We're still gonna bring you Assassin's Creed DLC, which I'm glad it wasn't a new Assassin's Creed, that they're actually gonna build on what they already have. But it was just like, all right. Just they covered their bases and then they hit us with the Rabbids thing, which I was like, okay, cool.
Done. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I liked for the little time I had a Switch, I did have Mario Rabbids and I liked it, and I've always heard great things about it. Never heard anybody say that was a trash game. Always good. I think
it actually got me hyped up because I bought the complete edition not that long ago. Shit was like fucking $9 or something like that.
Yeah, and then
I started it, so I was like, you know what? I need to start that game.
Yeah, and then just more to touch base, like you said, this was another Far Cry 6 plug. We're going to get another one to Microsoft, but this one shows the season pass like we discussed, and it's the season pass. I'm like, you get to play as Voss, Pagan, and the father from Far Cry 5. You get to be in like these little story snippets. And I watched it, and maybe it's because I'm in the comic book thing right now. I'm more interested in reading that rite of passage that's through Dark Horse right now compared to playing it.
Yeah.
Did you get to read that first issue yet?
I've got like a couple pages in. I haven't like wrapped it up.
Literally, first issue is just about Voss, and you don't have to. Then you look. That's 26 pages, and then you're done with that. You don't have to worry about fucking Voss no more.
Yeah.
And
that's where I was curious. Is it was like, are they just like standalone missions like in the game, or is it like, hey, replay the whole game as like, I still wasn't like 100% clear on how you get to be the villains, but also is one of those things of like, you were just saying earlier, who's asking for this?
Yeah. the one thing of, I'm assuming, again, I can make shit up, Far Cry 5, their season pass was zombies, aliens, and some other shit. So I'm assuming I know the new island, Cuba, we'll just call it. That's definitely an easy way for them to make story missions with Voss for a vignette of just stuff. So maybe they could go that route, but I don't really care. I might get it just because I like the idea of having access to Blood Dragon, but I might not. And then they ended the show with what everybody's asking for some I didn't know. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora.
Yeah, I was like, what? Like, who asked for this?
Yeah, who asked for all the sequels that are coming out? I don't know.
Yeah, and it was a trip too, because people were like wildly hyped. Which, hold on, time out. I'm gonna have to buy Far Cry 3 because that shit is $2.99 on the PlayStation Network. So I haven't played it. I will buy it because I've heard that one is really good.
I think you'll like it. It's pretty.
I mean, $3, dude.
Can't beat. No, and then what is it? The Avatar. Apparently, it's a first-person open world from the studio, the Division studio. So there's people in the background that could make it good, but I'm like, you're gonna have another first-person Ubisoft game? Are we gonna now touch our hair onto an animal to go up on top of a radio tower to find the map too? I'm like, whatever.
And that really is like the move. It's like clear a camp, climb a tower, control a person. Like, okay. So we're just basically reskinning the same game in a sense. Be stealthy.
Yeah. And then, that's basically it for Ubisoft. And then just do a quick, more shout out to Devolver. I still love their show each year.
They are a fucking highlight, because if you just watch this Devolver, please go back to the previous years, because it's a narrative. Like, it's they connect, they make sense, and they know their fucking games.
Yeah.
They're just like, just have some fun.
They like, in particular, like there's a lot of games I'm interested for, but every time I've heard Devolver's name now, I'm like, it's going to be a banger. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It could be an 8-bit fucking little shooter game, but it's going to be solid.
Yes.
And then I like, they also have the publishing rights for Shadow Warrior 3, and that game is basic because the original Shadow Warrior came out during that id plethora of like Wolfenstein games. So when I say it's a Doom knockoff, I'm saying it in a good way. It looked really good. Like, it looks like a great Doom knockoff. And
Devolver does. What I like about Devolver is they take a chance, but they're not taking a chance on cloning something. They're just like, listen, let's try this fucking game. Like, one of my favorite games that I played the year before last was Piku Niku. And Piku Niku was this little red character where all you could do is fucking jump and kick your fucking feet.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. That game was a blast, and it had a good story. And that's where Devolver gets you, is that the veneer of whatever game you're playing may be like, this shit is corny. And then you're like, oh, you got me fucked up because you wrote in a good story. I was not ready for a good story. I thought I was just going to troll around this little fucking Orby creature or some shit like that.
Devolver definitely has a top tier scouting because they're just the publisher. Yes. Mm-hmm. They look for these studios or these little teams that are bringing out these weird little bangers, and they have heart. I love it. Of course, they have Hotline Miami in the sense of for probably a multiple platform distribution. So yes, they've struck it multiple times. I'm like, it's just always good to know. That's why
Devolver reminds me of like indie movies of like the late 90s, early 2000s, where it was like, it wasn't about what Warner Brothers was putting out. It wasn't about what Sony Studios was putting out. It was your early Tarantinos, your early Kevin Smiths, your early Moldovars. Like, all these guys who were just making movies and they were like, fuck it, I got a good story, I'm gonna make it happen. It might be a shoestring budget, but like the story's gonna be fucking banging. Dude, I just need someone to help me put this bitch out. Yeah. And that's what Devolver's doing, is they're just like, oh, you got a good concept? Let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can make this happen.
And then I can only say good things about that. And then from that pinnacle of a style of doing a presentation, if there was no Coke Media presentation, that's the bottom and the bottom of the barrel, Gearbox thought it was a good opportunity to do a fucking presentation, which was terrible. And the only news that came out of that is, besides seeing Randy Pitchford's ugly fucking face in the backstage with Eli Roth and having basically Kevin Hart look like he's standing there by gunpoint, was Godfall is coming to PS4 because no one played it on PS5, so they need a bigger audience apparently.
Yeah, they gotta stretch it.
And then the expansion of Fire and Darkness, which is paid, which you had to buy the DLC for it, comes out August 10th, and there's a free update called Lightbringer coming out at the same time. But it's just another one of those quote unquote exclusives that's cross-gen, but also this one might, how would I word it? Gearbox published it, but it is a small studio, so I'm going to give the credit where credit, it is a small studio. Maybe they're just like, we need to have this do somewhat okay so we can do another game that's not on here. And another one, because Gearbox published it, that Tribes of Midgard looks kind of okay, but that's another story. That one's another one that they're promoting on PS5. But yeah. But we'll get into today's Xbox Bethesda event. What would you grade it?
The Xbox Bethesda event, I'd give it a solid 3.
Really? That low in a sense? I know that's pretty in the middle. So you really think that little?
Well, but you got to consider too that a 3 on a scale of 5 is like average.
7,
it's just in the middle. You know what I mean? It wasn't it wasn't anything that was like, yeah, this shit is crazy or amazing. It was just it's fine. It's okay. And the reason why is that, let me go back to this. I want to say this before I get into Xbox. Sony, you need to get your head out of your own ass, because you are not showing any games. We haven't got any decent updates. They've been too silent for too long. And it's not like there's any signs of them dropping a fucking load of here's all the games, and guess what? Now you can fucking expand your memory. It isn't there. This Xbox presentation, though there were a lot of games that weren't for me, there was something for everybody. But I will say this. I felt like it wasn't AAA bangers. It was AA, if that. Some high tier, but not enough to be damn, you fucking knocked it out of the park. It's Forza again? Okay. It was just stuff that was all right, fine. I'm not a Starfield guy, so that doesn't really do it for me. Back 4 Blood isn't a big thing. I don't play Sea of Thieves. I don't play Yakuza. It was just Psychonauts, okay. But the big piece here is they keep selling Game Pass. And that's where I was you guys are gonna fucking destroy Sony, because Sony keeps sleeping on PlayStation Now. They're not promoting it properly. They need to fucking step it up so that people know that Now exists and has actually a lot of these games on it. And this was the first time that I was okay, in the coming months, I'll probably need to get an Xbox because I want to play Atomic Hearts. There's just so much stuff coming to Game Pass day one that I'm yeah, it would be better off for me finally getting that Xbox. and playing some of these games on there than on my preferred console, which is the PlayStation. You know,
I want to say more. I'm going to give Xbox because I understand now with the 5-point scale what you're saying. So if that's the sense, I'd give it a 3.5. But it's like I would say almost like a 3.9 in my eyes. For the listeners, in the sense of it's easier for me to say they showed 30 games on their show, and 27 of them are on Game Pass day one.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And like so, out of that little bunch, the only 3 that they showed that are not on day one Game Pass is Diablo 2 remastered. Where's the other one I just looked at? Far Cry 6 and Battlefield 2042. But also that one might, but I don't think it is, because I would definitely know that they would say day one. But those are the only 3 out of their group of what they showed are going to be not on Game Pass day one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is my true thoughts when I was watching it. I think the beginning was great. They came out the gate. Starfield. It's going to come out November 11th, 2022. And it is an Xbox exclusive. And I'm more happy they said it because when they did the accusations on here, I was like, if you're a PlayStation guy, get that out of your mind. You're not going to get Starfield.
Yeah.
Why would you? Why would we? It's whatever. And then so they started off the door, hey, we're doing it. Starfield's exclusive to Xbox and probably PC. But the idea, you want exclusives, we're going to give you exclusives. And then I think it was great. Stalker 2 gameplay looked cool. It's still I don't know because I'm not a PC gamer. Hearing the news that Black for Blood is going to be a day one Game Pass, that's great for Game Pass. We'll see how it goes because the idea of how I kind of discussed it, it's great for the market, but also is it cool that now you just put literally almost within a year's time of 2022, you put 4 different Left 4 Dead knockoffs on your thing to say we have all these games. They're all the same fucking shit. But I digress.
And that is that has been my beef with Game Pass. You got a lot of people in the podcast world who just they hype up Game Pass like crazy. And it's if you are new into the gaming world or you're a person on a limited budget, Game Pass is a great investment. It definitely is. But there's a lot of bullshit on there. There's a lot of a ton of garbage.
They both,
both
do have, yes, they both.
Yeah. And so, yeah, and I'm glad you're saying that because it isn't one over the other, but it's you have to sift through a lot, and there's a lot of clones in there. So when you're saying yeah, there's 4 fucking Left 4 Deads. Yeah. So which one do you want to play? I don't need 4 of them. It isn't about quantity, it's about quality. And sometimes the quality of the game is I don't want to play a game from fucking 1998. I don't. I don't want to play a game from 2004. I'm glad there's a Psychonauts 2 because I'm getting sick and tired of the first fucking Psychonauts being updated, remastered, revamped, HD'd. You can play it on your phone, you can play it in your fucking VR, you can play it everywhere, you can play it on your fridge. Fucking Psychonauts is Skyrim. That bitch is everywhere, you know?
Well, that goes into where I think the show stopped almost to a halt is when they had I don't want to say the guy's name wrong, but I think it's Pete Hines. He came out and they just did what they needed to do for a business wise. They had the Bethesda hey, we're doing great on Fallout 76 now. Hey, we're doing great on Elder Scrolls. For some reason, they fucking said we had the 10th anniversary of Skyrim for no reason. I'm whoa, don't even bring that shit up.
Yeah.
But and then that went into a weird standstill because even before that, I forgot to even mention they even had an exclusive from Avalanche called Contraband, which was only showed on they're trying to develop photos. It says it's going to be open world and blah blah blah, and no real footage I'm like, okay, that seems interesting, but it goes into that whole idea of open world for Xbox, because after Pete Hines, the next big the big thing, like you said, Atomic Hearts. That's gonna be they had a bunch of day one Game Pass, which is great. And then I also think that
they fucking shot when they got to that point. Yes, I totally agree. But that's the thing. Felt like a commercial in between. It was really fucking weird. Yeah. And then, but when they were like, "You want a fucking money shot?" Like they nutted on everyone's face. They were like, exclusive. Like they were nonstop. Like they were beating us over the head. Even when they fucking hit with Forza, I was like, another fucking Forza. But that game looked stunning. Like,
what'd you think of Halo? What'd you think of Halo with the idea of we had the Craig meme and everyone knew I think they try to show, because I'm gonna keep them on the fire on this. You showed gameplay, but it was pre-rendered segments and cutscenes. Yeah. And you gave us one overlay shot of the world. And I'll give you that. The world looks better, but also just means you just flick the switch. You got the shadows now of what you tried to show us before.
This Halo should have been what we saw before.
Yes.
This should have been it. I would have liked a little sort of tongue-in-cheek nod,
Craig,
if they would have stuck in the fucking derpy gorilla. You know? Like
Craig,
If they would have just put that in and just be like, you know, like that would have been just to acknowledge, like, yeah, that shit was whack. You know,
just in the multiplayer as a skin. You just
right, just you know what I mean. That shit would have been hilarious because then it'd have been like, you guys are in on the joke. You know what it was like. That shit. When was it last year when we saw it? That was not good. That was for all these fucking Xbox like fucking fanboys that were like, what do you guys mean? You guys don't know fucking Halo? It's like, no, it didn't look good. No. It did not. Like, I don't know what fucking world you live in. It looked dumb. They make that shit in MS Paint. Now, this one looked a lot better, but this should have been last year's. This year, we should have seen some better gameplay, not just fucking, not just like rendering.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't it for me. But on that flip side, going back to what I was saying earlier, makes me want to get a new Xbox. Crossing my fingers that there will be a Master Chief bundle or a Halo bundle.
I wonder. I'll admit, because I want to be face. You know, Xbox is bullshit. But you guys, the Halo multiplayer trailer looked real fun. I love that map because it obviously reminds me of Halo 3's map. That same one. And I thought also Xbox did have some big balls to have the new game director of Halo Infinite, which is their third or fourth game director of Halo Infinite. I'm like, whoo, you got some big cojones to be showing someone who's going to be possibly fodder who might leave. But I digress. It looked I don't think the multiplayer was ever the problem, but the multiplayer looked good. And I still think it's great that they're keeping up the idea of the multiplayer is free to play. Which I don't want to be that person, but like it does make me go into like, should I get an Xbox Series S just to play some free to play Halo multiplayer?
And that's kind of where I am too. Where do I buy an S or do I get the X?
Yeah.
But then when I compare, like, eventually you need a bigger hard drive, and then it also just like as far as the guts inside aren't as strong, so then I'm like, you know what? I guess I might as well get the X.
Well, they both can do those the memory card thing, right?
Yeah, they both can do the memory card thing, but even that bitch is like expensive. Basically, to get the S to the X by getting memory card, you might as well have bought the X.
Good point, and also you get a graphic overhaul.
Yeah, and then you get the boost. So then it's just like, well, I might as well like have gotten the first one, but still, I'm not rushing out today to get it. It'll be one of those. When I start seeing these games trickle through. Because right now, the only thing truly on Game Pass that I want to play, that I can't play, is the Medium. Because it's exclusive for the Series X. So even though I have an Xbox One S, I can't play it. Like it won't let me. It doesn't load it because it's exclusive to the series versions.
Well, don't worry. That just got rated for PS5.
Yes, it did. It did. So I'm just kind of like, but like I said, it's not enough yet. But I have to say, they really threw it down, and like I mentioned before, they went all in on exclusives, which makes it really look like, or not, or like we started seeing all this shit on exclusivity, and it's like I said before, PlayStation, you got to do something.
Yeah.
Because they keep talking about this 25, and how many have we seen? 3? 2?
Probably 5. 5.
But like, okay, so that means that there's still 20 waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'd love to know what those are. Like, please.
It goes into, because I think we're going to end the Xbox conversation right here. Like, Xbox will win E3 because there's no one at that level of competing.
Yeah.
Of doing a presentation. They made a beautiful Game Pass roadmap.
Yes, they did.
For a presentation. And for people who have been watching them for years, other companies still did not understand how to make a presentation like an Xbox or a PlayStation. And then also, I'm talking about 2/3. Nintendo might come out of nowhere and beat Xbox just because Nintendo's been doing a Nintendo Direct style for years.
Yeah, they've been doing their treehouse for a long time.
Yeah. So, but the idea of a brand new style of making E3 videos, Xbox One E3, but that's because there was no one there in competition. And
at that, they pared down the competition further because they're not, in terms of competing for time. They already own Bethesda.
Yeah.
They're showing off Ubisoft games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the landscape is so different that it's just kind of like, it almost makes it more comical that the small studio, not when I say small, I mean, it's not Xbox, it's not PlayStation, it's not Nintendo, but it is kind of silly for like Ubisoft and, who was the other fucker? Square to do theirs today when it's just like, you know what? You might as well just hop on with another fucking major and just like show off there. Because to have the one-offs, it's just, I don't know, it just feels, in this format, it feels weird.
You did a great segue for at least the Square Enix one, because that was the last thing we're going to talk about. And that felt so small and minuscule that I think it goes into like, they should have just kept quiet and then just say, hey, PlayStation, will you put us in your next state of play? Don't just do a fucking 15-minute one game display and say peace. Because we'll even break that down really short. There was more mobile games announced at Square Enix with like the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 remasters, and they had like Hitman Sizzle Reel for mobile games, Nier mobile game. But then like the big fish we'll talk about for Square Enix was, let me double check. One, the Team Ninja Tecmo Final Fantasy Dark Soulsy game is real called Strangers of Paradise, and then
with the Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Guardians of the Galaxy is the biggest thing on there, and it had the most time. It even had a demo and everything. And
they spent a good amount of time on it, but it's like how you just said. You know what you can do? Pocket that money, give a slice to Sony or Xbox, and be like, hey, can you talk about this in your next presentation?
Yeah.
That would have been it. Because they didn't carry enough weight to like make it a thing. Like, I'm interested in this Guardians game. It looked like a lot of fun where I would be like, I'd try it.
I think it looks better than the Avengers, but I think it's because there's guns.
Yeah. No, I totally agree because, okay, so my side note real quick, my experience with the Avengers game, I actually really was starting to enjoy the Avengers game. The button mechanics are a hot ass mess. Like, I don't know who fucking designed that. But the problem I had was, if you play the PlayStation Now version, it keeps corrupting. So I had to install that game 3 times because every time I would play and pause, maybe like the 3rd time, I couldn't access my game. The save file would work, but it would be like, cannot play game is corrupted. And I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? So it's like I never got as far as I wanted. And I think I was about halfway. And then I was just like, if I was maybe in the first quarter, I might keep trying, but halfway through, I'm like, nope, this is good enough for me. But
the little bit I did, my favorite character to play as was Black Widow, which was with guns.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of having, I do think it's a little odd, but again, they could be fucking with us. That Star-Lord's the only playable character, but at the same time, it's not that Square Enix. It is Eidos, but the idea of Final Fantasy 15, you're running around with a ragtag group of guys and you just kind of like do combo moves and like work together, do like a cool cutscene tag. So it could happen. But it does look, for the idea of a cosmic universe, it looked a lot more palatable than Avengers 1.
Oh, definitely way more dialed in. Really made that Avengers game look like a rough draft.
Yeah.
You know, just even from like the look of it is just like, this one's it's a lot tighter, really crisp. Because like, one thing that Square does is like, they have a very, I don't know how to describe it. It's a very aggressive art style. Like it's very like rigid lines. Like it's not a lot of softness to it. It's very like angles.
Square Enix?
Yeah, Square.
Probably because of Japanese anime, like how they do the drawings, but
yeah.
And
but I was gonna say, so with that, it's like, even with that sort of art style, it was still crisper than the Avengers game. And then going back to what you're saying about like, if you're just Star-Lord, like, but I'd be totally fine with that.
Yeah.
Like, because then now I don't have to have like on the Avengers game, that shit sucked because the controls didn't translate, they didn't balance, and they didn't make sense. If I could have played that game exclusively as Kamala Khan, that would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Even though it would have been Hulk and everyone else, give me Kamala from the beginning to the end, good. Because now I can master her system. Even as janky as it is, I can remember that X does the thing. And when I had to keep switching and then realizing that to do Hulk special, you have to do something else. And oh fuck, now I'm Iron Man and I'm flying, and it's like, and the flying was the worst.
No, it's definitely, I think it's going to reap the benefits of, like you said, it's not the first draft. They've had plenty of responses from the internet to tell you what they fucked up on the Avengers.
Yeah.
But yeah, and basically they did a sizzle trailer, and then I did see that the Babylon's Fall, which is a platinum game coming out, you can sign up to be a like beta tester and shit right now. But yeah, that was basically it for the first 2/3 of E3. And then before we get into hot picks, what do you think Nintendo is bringing to the table?
I'd like to think that Nintendo, number one, really hard for fucking Nintendo. I think we will see something Breath of the Wild 2. But Nintendo, they don't play by the rules. We might see a fucking Nintendo Jump Rope Part 2. Nobody asked for it, but it'll be there. You know what I mean? It'll be some weird ass shit.
And it will sell like gangbusters.
Oh yeah, it'll sell like crazy. It'll be something super fucking random where I'm like, what? They do their own wave. So going back to what you were saying earlier too, when Xbox has no competition, they really don't. And not to say competition to blow them out of the water. No, they just don't have a rival in this. Nintendo is so much doing their own fucking thing. They don't live in the same universe. They're in different places. So I think we'll see something on Breath of the Wild 2. And I'm really curious if we will finally get that new Switch model announced. That's kind of it.
They're just judging by other people and like kind of funny, they said that this has the highest chances will be the day that you'll see that remodel.
What is everyone calling it? The rumor is it's the new Nintendo Switch.
Probably, because I know I was talking to the GameStop guy this week. Yes, I was talking to a GameStop guy yesterday. he can't, he didn't, there's nothing. He's like, we don't see nothing yet. It happens on the same day. But he said, with all the news out there with Bloomberg and like Samsung saying, yeah, we made some OLED screens for Nintendo. There's too many things behind it saying that it's not real. So today is probably definitely the day. And I'm also looking forward to Metroid Prime 4 news, which it's time for it. And then I'm just going to throw a clink out there. I have nothing. Who knows? I like to see something come out of the Star Fox universe because there was that rumored, there was a rumored Star Fox like go-kart, even if it's that dumb shit. Just the idea that, hey, we do have other people besides Zelda. And like,
if I could throw a Hail Mary sort of pie in the sky, what I'd love to see is a Beautiful Joe. Bring Capcom back Beautiful Joe. Like
that's that week. That's Tuesday as well. We might see something.
Because that relationship, that game was so good. And it just, like, there's two games that I kind of hold on to that I'll probably never see the light of day. It would be another Beautiful Joe and Booger Man. Get a new Booger Man.
Booger Man. Well, perfect way to end our E3 coverage. I did try to stretch out at the beginning, but then we got smooth and sailing at the midway through.
Exactly.
But
you ready for my hot pick?
Well, yeah, we're going to do this week's hot picks, and I'll start off at least with this week's TV show is Loki, because I really enjoyed the first issue or episode 1. And and that's why I was also getting to you. Since you're here and you're very much the music man with our collab with Cluner, I'd like to have you at least give everybody a hot track for this week.
Well, I'm actually going to take the hot picks back to an old pick. This actually last night, for some unknown reason, I really got back heavy into Deftones. And so, their White Pony album, which was considered like their pinnacle, been listening to it a ton. And so I really wanted, as a hot pick, a throwback. I think people should really go revisit Deftones, because even their albums before and after White Pony have really, really been strong. But so, I want to take it back to a song called Street Carp, off the White Pony album. Take a listen to Street Carp. That's Carp, C-A-R-P. That is my hot pick for the week. It's just, I think, the all-inclusive, Deftones sound. They do great music. Their music still really, really holds up. And sometimes, we got a lot of good, fresh stuff out there, but it's always nice to dip back into the vaults and see what's strong. So my hot pick for the week is Deftones Street Carp off the White Pony album.
There you go. And it's perfect since Chaufie is old, so it's like fresh for him.
Exactly. It came out when I was 45.
Oh boy. No, all right. And then this week's comics is I got for Marvel Venom 200. It's the last issue for Donny Cates' run before this November when he switches over to Hulk and Ram V and Brian Hutchinson the guy who's playing Hulk right now, Al Ewing, they switch. They do do switch comics. Then Demon Days Mariko 1, Planet Size X 1, and then we'll do Image is just Compass issue 1, just because it's a new title. I always like to highlight the first issues of a new series so people can jump in at the right time. DC, we have Static Season 1, Issue 1. So the return of Milestone Comics is starting this week. Well, besides issue 0 that was last week. But yes, I'm glad to see Static back. And then Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, issue 1. Aftershock, Seven Swords, issue 1. And then I'm saying it again, everyone go pick up Resonant issue 10 from Vault Comics, because we need to have a third arc. And with you buying it will help us get it. But yeah. Thank you, Chaufie, for coming on. I know we stretched this baby out wide.
Damn.
Tell the people where you can find you.
Now you can find me, hit me up on Twitter at that Chaufie, ThatChaufie. That's where you find me kind of kicking it the most. My primary podcast, Cadillac on Mars. I do that with the homie Delvin Cox and sometimes the other partner, Sean Washington, come on. That's where we just kind of talk slice of life, just kind of what's happening with us. But you'll find me here and there. Man, Mike, thanks for letting me jump on, letting me crash your party.
No
Even though you weren't ready for it, I said I was doing it because that's what I'm gonna do.
Hey, no problem. I think it's more after you saw the starting of how I was doing the show. You might have regretted it, but I'm glad we got it all nice and smooth.
No, not at all, not at all. And like I said earlier in the show, I think you're doing great work. I think your podcast is really, really solid. It's one of the few that I listen to weekly. I think that you provide great content. You're also not just fucking regurgitating whatever's in the like echo chamber. Your comic talk is really spot on. Even your opinions on video games, I think are really, like I was saying about the complex earlier, they're authentic and honest and not just like, well, cause I read on IGN and they said it was good, so it's gotta be good. So man, keep doing what you're doing. Like keep this grind going. Glad to see you're getting some shine, getting some people talking to you. So keep it up, dude.
Yeah, thanks, man. And then no, I appreciate it, and also like no, back to you because I wish Cadillac on Mars was not just monthly because I do enjoy hearing your thoughts, and especially when you're in the host stand, you are definitely you're a really good captain of the ship of like even just the conversation might drift, but it's so well done. It obviously goes into even when you are also doing So Tell Me, that's a fucking wild fucking series too. But I digress. Of course, you guys go check out Cadillac on Mars. It's really great, and one of my favorites is the "What's Up with That" segment.
But yeah, that's our little rant.
But yeah, no, thanks for coming on, and of course, everybody can follow me at MikeFowler93, and that'll definitely be the place to be. Of course, like and subscribe. Maybe tell a friend about the Cousin Caesar Show. That would be great. I'm trying to do some stuff around here. Try to get some, these creator things are not doing it for. I'm doing it for my fun, but also it's for you to listen to it. So it's really cool if anybody, shares it. But I digress. And like we do every week, well, I'll catch you next week. Be good to each other and peace.